Now, there is a razor's edge, we'll call it, between feeding yourself enough to fuel your performance, to fuel your day-to-day life, and then feeding yourself too much so that you get fat, or feeding yourself too little so you're not fueling your performance, and although you're losing weight, you're losing muscle as well. So there is this kind of razor's edge where you have to play around with calories a little bit more so that you can continue to train well, continue to train hard, still have energy for your day-to-day life, and still be able to go about your goals, you know. And I don't mean, like, I don't want you to even just think of that in terms of, oh, like, he's clearly just talking about weight loss, I should be feeding myself enough for my training but little enough so that I'm still losing weight. No, I mean the same thing with gaining weight as well, because, like, obviously the ultimate goal is to minimize fat gain when you are trying to gain weight, you know, unless you're trying to be, I don't know, a sumo wrestler or something where it's literally just the weight that matters. Like, obviously, yes, having more muscle at that weight is great, but it is realistically at the end of the day the weight that matters, you know. Or you have a weight class and you're like, I want to be at the top of my weight class because that's correlated with success, you know. So if the goal is to have a certain physique, you should be thinking of, okay, what is, like, where is that line, where is that razor's edge where it's too many calories and I'm gaining fat, or it's too little calories and yes, I'm losing weight, but my performance in day-to-day life and my performance in the gym is just, it's just tanked, you know. And the same thing again, where is that level where you're feeding yourself enough, you're gaining weight, and maybe you're not gaining a huge amount of fat, but you just feel uncomfortable in the gym, you just feel sluggish, and your day-to-day life performance is shit because you're just eating too much, you know. And the body might not be responding in terms of accumulating fat gain, or at least visual fat gain, but you just feel like crap. So there's obviously this razor's edge here on both sides where it's like, okay, like there's obviously this little sweet spot with calories where I'm still moving towards my goals, albeit slower, but I'm not moving so far away from what we'll call health, you know. So it is one of those things that it's kind of annoying when you're kind of setting your calories as an individual. Like, obviously if you have a coach, like either like one of us or someone else even, like, you can kind of go, okay, you know, I'm going to let them kind of read my variables and then assess the situation and then adjust accordingly. But if you're trying to do it yourself, it's a little harder because, like, your brain is going to say, yeah, more calories are great, even though you're clearly visually gaining fat. Or your body's going to be like, while you're dieting, again, the same thing where it's like, yeah, okay, this is probably too little calories and I'm fueling training, but I'm not really losing fat enough. And your body will go, or your brain at least will go, yeah, keep the calories here. Like, it's no worries. Don't go any lower, you know. So, like, it is harder to do it yourself because your brain's going to try trick you so you can eat as many calories as possible, because it's like, yeah, obviously I want to eat. Or you could be the other side of the thing where you're just eating too low calories and your brain's kind of going, yeah, this is grand. Don't worry about the muscle loss. Don't worry about the performance. We're still on track, even though you're clearly not on track, you know. So you do have to play that razor's edge where it's, you're feeding yourself enough to be, or to have good performance in the gym, and then also to have good performance in your day-to-day life, while still moving towards your goal, whether it's gaining weight or gaining muscle or losing fat, you know. So there is this kind of razor's edge there, and it is one of those things that unfortunately it's really hard to find that perfect balance. And this is why people kind of go, oh, dieting doesn't work for me, because they go too aggressively or too unaggressively, whatever the opposite of that is, and they're not actually moving towards their goals either fast enough, or they go too fast and then their performance tanks. Or the opposite side of things, people are like, oh no, bulking doesn't work for me, I just get fat. And it's like, yeah, the way you did it, you tried to overeat by 1,000 calories every single day, like, obviously you got fat. So you do have to feed yourself enough to gain weight or lose weight while still fueling the performance. So the gym is a great way to kind of track how things are progressing, because if your performance starts tanking, which it shouldn't when you're dieting, and it certainly shouldn't when you're gaining, then something is up, you know. So the gym is a good kind of, we'll call it a signal, a canary in the coal mine, wherein if your performance isn't there and you've changed one of these variables, either too many calories or too little calories, then you can start assessing whether, okay, no, I need to adjust my plan of action, and maybe a slower rate of loss or a slower rate of gain, like as in more calories or less calories, is more appropriate for your overall goals, you know? So it is a great indicator of that. However, on the other side of that, this is why it's a razor's edge. So maybe you go, okay, cool, I'm kind of playing around with that, and I'm going to keep in this razor's edge where, you know, my performance is still great, I'm losing slowly or I'm gaining slowly, but you're afraid now to move away from your goals to ultimately achieve your goals, you know? Because what you'll see people do is, yeah, my overall goal is to be bigger. I want to get bigger. So people will just go on this perma bulk, you know, and they'll be bulking for 5 years, 10 years. And you go, okay, when are you going to ever diet down to show off the results of your hard work? And they're kind of like, oh, when I'm big enough, when I'm big enough. And it's like, you're never going to be big enough. You know, like, it's always going to be more. I want more. I want more. And also, you don't know how big you are because you've never been lean. You don't actually know visually what you look like when you're lean, you know, because you've never been there. You're in this perma bulk all the time. Same with the opposite side of things, where people will always stay excessively lean and never actually gain muscle or never accumulate enough tissue, never let themselves get even the slightest bit of fat, even though it probably would help them. They know their hormones are tanked down, they're just staying excessively lean, keeping calories too low, and it's like, okay, well, like, maybe, you know, getting a little bit fatter. I'm not saying you have to get obese or anything, but getting a little bit of fatter will help you to your overall goals. So while there is this razor's edge, the razor's edge is in a larger scale or a larger view, you know? So the razor's edge still encompasses, are you actually willing to move away from your ultimate goal to actually achieve your goal? So you can think of it like taking 2 steps back or taking 1 step back to take 2 steps forward. So if you need to gain muscle and you're afraid to gain any body fat, like, you're going to be at this razor's edge where you're not feeding yourself enough to gain enough muscle. Well, yeah, okay, cool, your performance is still good and you're still staying lean, but you're not actually moving, you're not tipping the needle in this gaining side of things. Same with the opposite side of things. If you're kind of going, yeah, no, I need to gain more muscle, but you're never, you know, tipping the balance this way, leaning out a little bit and just kind of assessing visually, okay, actually I need to work on my shoulders maybe a little bit more, or maybe blah blah blah, whatever it is, or actually just sensitizing yourself to those calories, to those kind of anabolic pathways again, you know? So like, you do have to have that razor's edge, but that razor's edge is also encompassing, where does this fit into the overall bigger picture of things? Are you willing to kind of slightly move away from your goals so that you can ultimately achieve them? Or are you just kind of going, oh yeah, no, Patrick said a razor's edge here, so I'm going to feed myself a little bit, but not enough to even, you know, actually move towards my goals. So that razor's edge, you have to take it as, okay, there is obviously this point where it's too far, I'm just falling off the razor's edge. But then you've also got these people that stay on the very middle. They're sitting on the fence so long, they've got splinters in their ass. So they're not actually moving to either side, you know? So you do have to be willing to kind of get to the edge of that razor's edge to kind of push the envelope without actually then going, oh, I'm pushing the envelope, you know? So what I'm saying is, you shouldn't be going all out with your strategy, as in, oh yeah, I want to gain, so 1,000 extra calories for 6 years, you know? And I'm not saying the opposite side of things where it's like, oh, I need to lose and I need to just be in a deficit all the time or keep calories excessively low. You know, if you have a goal, which presumably you do have a goal, an ultimate goal, whether it's muscle gain, just being healthy, whatever it is, you should have your program, your diet, your lifestyle, all that kind of stuff set up to actually achieve that goal. But you have to be willing to kind of slightly move away from it to actually ultimately achieve it. And that's why we kind of like this more kind of phasic approach to dieting, to gaining and all that kind of stuff, where it's like not quite the old, you know, bulk and cut type thing, but, you know, actually like a kind of a bulk and cut type thing where you're kind of like, this is my gaining phase, this is where I'm actually trying to improve my physique, I'm actually eating in a slight surplus, hoping to minimize fat gain, hoping to maximize gym performance, hoping to maximize health still, and then I'm kind of going, now I've reached the top end of a bracket, we'll just say whatever, 16% arbitrarily, and now I'm kind of staying at a maintenance level, just kind of hardening off the physique there, and then I'm going into a dieting phase till I get down to like say the bottom end of that mid level. You're not going, oh, I want to be excessively lean now. You're going down to that kind of 12% body fat, and then you're kind of maintaining there, and you're going between those two things until you ultimately get to your overall physique. The only problem that comes with that is when people again go over that razor's edge where it's like, yeah, I'm in a gaining phase, and yeah, I got to the top end, that 16% body fat, but you know, training's been going well, you know, everything's been going well, I'm going to push it, I'm going to push the envelope a little bit, and they go, I'm going to accept up to 20%, and now it's like, okay, well the razor's edge was here, you're kind of over here, and 16% was on the very edge of that razor's edge, and I'm just arbitrarily picking that number. It might not be the same for your goals, but we'll say 16% was on the very razor's edge, and you're kind of going, 20% is the new goal, and this is where it starts tipping off that razor's edge. So you do have to kind of feed yourself enough to actually perform well day-to-day life and in the gym even, and then also feed yourself a little or too little so that you're actually moving towards your weight loss goals, or feed yourself a little too much so that you're actually moving towards your gaining goals. But then again, either side of that, there's this excess where you can fall off that razor's edge. So what you should do is have a quick assessment or have a quick think, even do it on some paper, and like we've articles on it, just calculators online, there's hundreds of resources available to you, but just kind of go sit down and go, what are my actual goals? What am I trying to achieve with this phase of training? What am I trying to achieve with this phase of dieting? And how aggressively am I moving towards that? If there is this razor's edge, like, am I over that razor's edge, or am I actually not? I'm sitting on the fence, I'm bang on in the middle of that razor's edge, and I'm not willing to, you know, diet down, and I'm not willing to gain. I'm just kind of maintaining, but I'm not really maximizing my performance, my training, my sleep, like all that kind of stuff. You're just kind of like, yeah, I'm just kind of staying the same, you know. So if you're not moving towards your goals, and you're not moving away from your goals to eventually get to your goals, then like, what are you actually doing with your overall approach? And like, I'm not going to say you should have a goal, you should be training for a specific event or anything. Like, you may just enjoy training, you may just enjoy the process, but even still, I presume you have some sort of mini goals along the way. You have a certain physique that you like to maintain, or a certain strength you like to maintain, or whatever it is. So maximizing your diet around that, maximizing your training around that makes sense.